Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Audit and Finance Standing Committee meeting for May 17th, 2023. It is 10 a.m. My name is Paul Russell, and I represent Lower Sackville. And I'd like to call the meeting to order. I would also like to acknowledge that the Halifax Regional Municipality is located in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded lands of the Mi'kmaq people. The municipality acknowledges the peace and friendship treaties signed in this territory and recognizes that we are all treaty people. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of April 19th, 2023. Can I please thank you, Councillor Stoddard, thank you, Councillor Daigle-Gammon. So the minutes of April 19th, 2023 have been moved and seconded. Do we have any errors or omissions? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Great, thank you very much. The next item is the approval of the order of business and approval of additions and deletions, and this one is interesting. The Auditor General is not able to be with us this morning, so we should move that report forward to the June meeting. She will probably be able to be with us for the June meeting. And Councillor Cleary, who had brought forward 2 items for discussion, is also not with us this morning. So, Councillor Daigle-Gammon, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I can put the motion on the floor to defer the Auditor General, if you'd like.
Thank you very much. That would be wonderful.
Okay, so I move that item 12.1.1, the 2022-23 annual report and the 2023-24 audit priorities be deferred to the June 21st, 2023 meeting of the Audit and Finance Standing Committee.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Lovelace. Any discussion on that, Mr. Mayor? Is this on that motion, or is it on something different?
The computer did work. I don't know what to do.
Okay.
My computer, I've never seen this before.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah.
Move one corral over.
That would be the easiest. Yeah.
I'm going to go over here.
Okay. So once again, would there be anything on the motion to defer the Auditor General's report to the next meeting? No. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Great. Thank you very much. Are there any other changes to the agenda? Super. Thank you. Can I have, we have the motion on the floor then to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor of the agenda as amended, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Great. Thank you. We have an agenda. The next item is business arising out of the minutes, and I don't see any call for declaration of conflict of interest. Okay. Thank you. Motions of reconsideration and rescission and consideration of deferred business and notices of tabled matters are all none. Is there any correspondence?
Thank you, Chair. The Clerk's office did not receive correspondence for today's meeting.
Thank you very much. And are there any petitions?
Nor did we receive notification of any petitions.
Thank you, Annie. And I don't see any members of the committee stepping forward with that. There are no presentations. Information items brought forward. Let's move ahead with item 11.1. This is the action plan on corporate real estate development audit. We do have individuals in the gallery who are able to respond to this. Are there any questions from the from members of committee on this one? Okay. What I saw, I'm curious about the plan itself, about the action plan. What I saw, I'm trying to identify on page 8 of that report what was the plan. I saw items at the bottom of page 8 that were basically a to-do list, and I'm not sure that that constitutes a full plan. I'm wondering where we might be able to see more of a plan than what I saw on page 8, and I'm wondering if we have John McPherson and Michael Weil, wondering if you might be able to address that.
Good morning, Mike Weil, Manager of Acquisitions, Disposals, and Industrial Lands for HRM. The bottom of page 8 provides, I guess, specific plan to what the key recommendations in the auditor's report were. So these were directly to that. I mean, they would be in very broad terms, but you know, one of the critical items, I guess, in HRM in the current land supply issue that brought us here for industrial lands is there's a bit of disconnect in getting lands zoned and approved and then available and ready for supply. So a key part of that will be the joint collaboration and joint accountability of both corporate real estate and planning and development for ensuring the timing of these lands and working together on those plans and timing and estimates. So that's really for that, those 4 key points is a summary of that.
Okay, so as far as the plan itself goes, that is still to be developed?
The plan itself, in the appendix, we do have a broader schedule in very draft format right now, and that's essentially what we'll be looking to build on in collaboration with planning and development in the future. So what we'll be looking to do is outline a summary of the key projects, the key industrial lands to be delivered, and then be able to put them in the estimated timeline for delivery, and as the Auditor General recommended, right up to the stage of what is the estimated timing for the new land inventory to be available for purchase. So that's in essence the bigger plan that will be the outcome. This update to council was sort of an interim one that was called for, or update to audit and finance was an interim stage, and we'll be working on that bigger plan within the deliverable timeline as outlined by the auditor in her report.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Daigle-Gammon.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the interim report. One of my questions is, it says in the report that by spring, there would be the report come back to Regional Council on the Aerotech lands. So we're close to June. I'm just wondering if that delay is going to affect your timeline, and do you know when that might come?
Yes, certainly any delay would impact our overall schedule. We met with Planning and Development, who are on the file for Aerotech rezoning, and we understand that they're targeting to bring that report to council for first reading in summer or early fall of 2023 now. So they're targeting summer, so hopefully that'll stay on schedule.
We'll hope for summer. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Daigle-Gammon. I'm just, I don't, oh, go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I've seen the corporate real estate. I've been involved in some organizations that are looking to get land, including some pretty big ones in the last little while. I know how effectively you've pulled together what needed to be done, and so I applaud the work. I certainly think it's an area that requires a great deal of thought and attention. So I guess I'm not that far from where Councillor Russell may be going, which is that we do need to make sure that we have a lot of effort and attention, not just from yourself, but from other parts of the organization, to make sure that this is critical to the future growth of Halifax. So I know the capacity of your organization. I've seen it, and I've heard from organizations with whom you've dealt that it's impressive. But I would just encourage that we really need to, particularly in light of the fact of the Auditor General's report, that we need to keep a focus on it. And I know that the CIO and others will be seized of that as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. We don't have any further speakers to this report. There is no motion for it, so thank you very much for coming forward and being able to address that. The next item on the agenda was also the report brought forward from Councillor Cleary, the CAO Contract Amendment Report, item 11.2. Are there any speakers on item 11.2, or are any questions? Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
I don't, I'm not sure exactly, but is this something we can defer to the next meeting when Councillor Cleary would be here?
We can absolutely defer this, yes.
Could I suggest that that might be the case?
Okay, so you're making the motion to defer it to the next meeting, seconded by Councillor Lovelace. All in favor of deferring 11.2 to the next meeting, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Great, thank you very much. This meeting is even shorter. The next item on the agenda would have been the 2022-23 annual report and audit priorities, which has been deferred. We have now item 12.2.1, the increase to contracts for the Kesh-and-Goodman Library renovation. There is no presentation with this item, although we do have staff on hand to speak to the motion. Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
I'll put the motion on the floor unless Councillor Stoddard would prefer to do it. Go ahead. All right, thank you. Audit and Finance Standing Committee recommend that Regional Council 1 approve a transfer of $1.175 million from project account number CB 190003, Halifax North Memorial Public Library, 2, approve a budget increase of $1.175 million net HST included, 2 project accounts CB 190010, Kesh-and-Goodman Library renovations, approve an increase of $362,359 net HST included to RFP 19-188 PO number 20708347773 for changes to the contracted scope of work, and 4, approve an increase of $10,550 net HST included to PO 20708566766 for changes in contracted scope of work as outlined in the financial implications of this report.
Do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Stoddard, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
I just wonder if there's somebody that could just explain what actually is happening here for those who haven't had access to the report and might see transfers from one to another. Thank you.
Good morning. Philip DeGanzik, through you, Mr. Chair, to the Mayor. I'm just wanted to clarify your question. Is it the scope of the project in general or with respect to this particular increase?
The transfer from $1.175 million from the Halifax North Public Library to the Kesh-and-Goodman.
Okay, so the project for Kesh-and-Goodman Library expansion requires more funding. When that happens, we are required to look to see where we can find other sources. If the reserves are capable of accommodating it, then that's one of the first questions we would ask, but then we would look at other capital accounts to see where we could find or free up some capital this year that we may not need in other projects. So the Halifax North redevelopment has a significant carryover from previous year because we didn't get that project where it needed to be yet. There's work in progress. There's public consultation to happen there this year, as well as there's a GICB funding application put forward, so that we're looking to get funding approved for future redevelopment of that property. Even if we got the go-ahead and the GICB application was approved, we would not be able to spend all of the capital that we already have approved in this fiscal if we wanted to get that design work started. So that identifies to us that we have surplus capital in that account for this year that we could use for more urgent projects, which this is one.
And so people who recognize the importance of the Halifax North Public Library don't need to worry that money is coming out that would otherwise be being spent.
That's correct.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Go ahead, Councillor Stoddard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was going to present to the committee a little background about the Kesh-and-Goodman Library, if you would allow. It was opened in 2001. It was the recipient of the 2002 Lieutenant's Award for Agriculture and it welcomed more than 45,000 visitors each year. The Keshem Goodman has maintained service during the pandemic with drop-offs, curbside pickup, and snacks, and more. And it was able to retain some staff. The resident renders have been posted as the final results, and the community and the surrounding areas are very excited, and arrangements has been made for the summer with full programs. There will also be new programs for the increasing population, increasing staff, increasing acoustics, major improvements, barriers-free washroom upgrades, enhancement of outdoor library, increasement of study areas, meeting rooms, and it does support a very diverse community. Sorry, just one moment. And according to our numbers, it should be completed in 600 months, which is approximately 2.35 years. I ask that my colleagues support this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that background, Councillor Stoddard. Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
I know we could all take time to talk about how important the libraries are. I think we all understand that. I don't want to just do that, but what I think about our public libraries is that they all do lots of different things, but to me they all have a heartbeat. And Central Library has its own, Portland Library, I think of kids and programs. And when I think about Keshem Goodman, among the many things it does is it welcomes people to the community. And there is no more multicultural community in Nova Scotia or Atlantic Canada than the one that Councillor Stoddard is talking about and represents part of. And I've been there for so many events, and I've seen so many people who are adjusting to their life in Canada much easier because of that library and the people that work there and the services that it provides. It's just awesome, and it's really heartwarming. So pleased to see work continuing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I am curious, Philip, would the withdrawal of the funds from the Halifax North account simply be replenished next year when we look at the budget season?
Yes, so as we identify the requirement for, the full requirement for funding for that library, and as we understand more of the design requirements based on public consultation and other input from design consultants, then we'll get a better idea of what the costs required are. We also, like I said, we have an application into the Green and Inclusive Communities funding stream, and we're hoping for success there, and if so, then that's going to assist in that funding.
Thank you very much, Philip. Go ahead, CFO.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jerry Blackwood, CFO. And to Philip's point as well, right, as we bring back next year's capital budget, we'll certainly have to look to make sure we replenish those funds. But as well, there was a $2.8 million withdrawal from the Business Foundations project that we'll have to deal with as well in next year's capital budget. So I just want to flag that as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. I don't see any further speakers on the list. Are we ready for the question? Question's been called. All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Great, that motion passes. Next, we have the Grants Committee. There's nothing from them, nothing from members of the Standing Committee, no motions. There is nothing in camera. There are no added items. Notices of motion. I don't see any. Next is public participation. And this is the section of the meeting where we invite members of the public who are in our gallery to come forward and address the Budget Committee. There was a sign-up sheet, and as of 4:30 p.m. yesterday, there were no members who had signed up. So, reaching out to the gallery, are there any members of the public who would like to step forward and address the Audit and Finance Standing Committee? And are there any members of the public who would like to step forward and address the Audit and Finance Standing Committee? And third and final time, are there any members of the public who would like to step forward and address the Audit and Finance Standing Committee? And not seeing any members of the public in the gallery, Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda, the date of the next meeting is June 21st, 2023. And can I have a motion to adjourn? Thank you very much, Councillor Hensby. We stand adjourned.